All right, so looks like we're live. Hello guys, my name is Caitlin Bird. I am the owner and operator of Caitlin's Animal Training Services here in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. And I am also the main trainer for the online program, The Unstoppable Service Dog. So I am actually really excited to get talking with you guys today because I know that I'm in a room filled with professionals who are very, very passionate and learning about fear-free, force-free training for dogs. So obviously we don't like to use prong, choke, or shock collars as a way to be an aversive on our dogs. I am very, very, very passionate about that as well. And especially here in the US, there's a lot of trainers in the area that, especially in my area of the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, where people like to use these tools. And it's really, really popular in the service dog training community. And there's a lot of claims out there saying that it's really impossible to train a service dog without the use of aversives. So I am here really to let you guys know a little bit more about me. And I also wanted to talk, and today's topic, I'll be going live several times throughout this conference. And what I'm really passionate about here is to give you guys more of an introduction to assistance dogs in the US of A. If you guys are here, please let me know where you're from. Please comment down below. I would love to make this more interactive and meet some of you guys here online. I don't want to just be talking to my plain white office wall here today, so if you can pop some comments down in the chat below, I would love to hear from you and where you guys are coming from. So I want to first share a resource with you guys here, and you can use this to take notes. You can use this to go back and rewatch and take some more notes on that as well. And I'm going to pop this link down in the comments below. And this is a link to, oh, my comments aren't showing up yet. Okay, so Facebook is having some issues on their end for things to load up. But really, I'll post it as soon as I can get to the comments. I might have to go on and post it after the live, depending if the comments are going to load up for me or not. But you know what? I really want to see who is here. So let me just go back. I was watching another presenter. So here we go. Micheline. Micheline's here. Hello, Linda. Linda's from New Jersey. Awesome to see you guys here. So yeah, here we go. Now I can post my comments. Here we go. There we go. So this is a link to the Google Drive of the little, it's a little 3-page workbook. It's not super huge, but it's kind of giving an outline of what it's like and what you should know to help prepare your own clients if you were to be going over and educating them, or if they ask you some questions about it as well. Because I still get people that come to me saying they asked a certain dog trainer somewhere, maybe locally, maybe even in New Jersey, because we're really close to New Jersey. And they'll tell me, you know, oh, I registered him online, he is taking his basic obedience, like this is the way to become a service dog, right? And I have to do a little bit of backtracking and educating with them about what the laws are, what they are not, and you know, that can be really, really important just as a baseline, so they know, so that they have the correct expectations. All right. So one of the most common misconceptions about service dogs is that they need to be registered. Right? I know they do need to be registered in certain parts of Canada. In the US of A, the governing body is the ADA. Okay, so the ADA, they have a wonderful Q&A on their website. And actually, if you are still learning about service dogs and what, you know, some of the misconceptions, one of my favorite resources is the Q&A of service animals of the ADA. And this is straight from their website. I'm going to post this in the link in the chat down below as well. And this is the ADA's Q&A. Okay. And from there, one of the most common questions I get is, okay, so online, right? Online registrations. So all online registrations here in the US, they're scams. Okay, and I tell people not to waste their hard-earned money on registering their dogs with any of these online organizations. There is literally, I think it came out a year and a half ago, there was a news segment about how someone wanted to show that these online registrations don't actually mean anything. And they registered a beehive as a service animal. They registered a beehive, they got a little certificate, they got a little card and everything to take this beehive with them. So that just kind of drives the point home that, you know, these online registrations will just take anybody, and they just want to take your money, right? That's what they're there for. They just want to take your money. So I would not support any of those online organizations in any way. Of course, you know, people that come to me, I try not to make them feel so bad about it, because they're just trying to do the right thing. I just try to say, you know, you don't need that. You absolutely don't need that. So now, with one exception, this is an interesting one with the US, okay? In California is very different, as people in the US know. California has a voluntary registry, which you can actually register your service dog with. I'm not sure if there's any benefits about it. I'm not sure why they would do that in the first place, but it's not mandatory. It is 100% voluntary, okay? And if it was mandatory, it would actually be going against the ADA guidelines. Okay, so any state that does end up having a registry, it is going to end up being voluntary as long as the ADA doesn't change in the future. Okay, so any questions about that? Hello, Linda. Nice smiley face. Nice to see you. Any questions? Again, I don't want to talk to my plain white wall here today. I would love to interact with you guys and see how you're doing. Now, service dogs, right? So there's three different types of assistance dogs, right? So there's a lot of miscommunication about what does what, who does what, where to go, right? So in the US, there are three kinds of assistance dogs. I know over in the UK, you tend to call the main service dog an assistance dog. Over here, we do it as three different types of assistance dogs. And under that, it branches into service dog, emotional support animal, which I'm only going to be talking about the dog service animals in this aspect. And there's therapy dogs. Okay, and the main difference between these types of dogs is that, you know, a service dog is allowed public access. And when I say public access, they are allowed to be out in areas where dogs are not normally allowed. Okay, and we're talking about Walmart, we're talking about some shopping centers, we're talking about restaurants, right? Places where it's normally considered unsanitary to have a pet with you, right? Or a place where a pet dog can be more rambunctious or, you know, cause some issues. So service dogs provide a task to the handler. Okay, what is a task? A task is a specifically trained behavior that helps a person live their everyday life. Right? That's pretty much what it is, all in a nutshell. And, you know, task training in and of itself is what is the purpose, right? That is really the purpose of a service dog. And a service dog needs to be simply acting as an extension of the person, right? The dog shouldn't be doing anything that the person wouldn't be doing, right? They shouldn't be coming up and trying to smell flowers or food or eat food off the floor, right? I hope you don't eat food off the floor. maybe once in a while if you're in your own kitchen, right? But certainly not in public, right? Certainly not in public. But that is simply what the dog is there. An extension of you is what the service dog is there to be. So having a dog in a very nice, calm, loose leash heel position, not pulling anywhere, not barking at anything, you know, those types of behaviors. And they're there to help you live your life. Now, in order to get to that level, typically training takes 1 to 2 years depending on the dog. Some dogs can get it done faster than that, and they're just, they were like born for this, right? But typically it takes about 1 to 2 years, especially if you're starting off as a very young dog and as a puppy. And I will be doing some more talks in the upcoming week about puppies and training and socialization and raising and other expectations about that as well, because in my business I get people from all over and all walks of life, where maybe they've already picked out a dog, maybe they just picked out a puppy, maybe they don't have a puppy, which if you're a trainer and you're looking to do service dog work, that is your ideal client. You want the client who doesn't yet have a dog, because you can set them up for success as you go. And that is the best client you could possibly have. So I'm trying to get the education out there today, where we need to change and educate people for their expectations in order to have the best experience possible. Because by the time people get to me with an older dog, they've already learned bad habits. Maybe they're trying to go back and you need to do some behavior modification with them to get them into a easier place to be in order to be a service dog. Or, sometimes you just have to say, this isn't a good situation for you and we need to start over with a dog, because you two aren't on the same wavelength and it's going to be really, really difficult to get you there. And I see that, maybe your client has a low frustration level as well, and it's just not going to be an easy fit or a good match. Because as a service dog trainer, your job is to make sure that you set your clients as well as your dogs up for success, to make sure that they have a good experience, right? And there's a lot of factors that go into that. Anyways, I jumped a little bit ahead. So I'm going to pull it back a little bit now and go more into the 3 types of assistance dogs here in the US. All right. So the other kind is an emotional support animal. Okay. Now this is a animal where there is a lot of contention here in the US. And I can't tell you how many times I have seen people bring a vested emotional support animal into a public place where dogs aren't allowed. They have them in like their little shopping carts, right? I'm sure you guys have seen that too. And the thing about emotional support animals is that they do not perform a task. Right? They do not perform tasks. They are not specifically trained to perform tasks. They are simply there for emotional support. And emotional support is not a task, because you don't train your animal to provide you emotional support. Simply being there can help that person. Okay? And because of this, right, they don't require any training. They're literally a pet. They are considered pets, but a lot of people don't understand that. And this is where the education part of it comes into as well, right? And they're not actually allowed to be in public places because they don't go through any training. They don't have any tasks to help you out in your day-to-day, and they're simply there as your pet, as emotional support. And this is also kind of where the online scams come into as well, right? I think this is where the online scams really blur the line between a service dog and emotional support animal, because they say, oh, just send us, tell us you need a doctor's note, we'll send you a doctor's note, and you can bring your dog anywhere, right? Which is not the case. So an emotional support animal is, however, allowed in certain areas. Now that has changed with some modes of transportation recently, with airplanes. Back in January, the DOT changed a lot of access rights for emotional support animals with airplanes. They are now considered pets for airplanes, and they are not allowed to travel with the owner outside of a carrier. Okay, you do have to pay a pet adoption fee, because a lot of people, pet fee for transportation in order to use it per flight, which can be anywhere from like $100 to $200, usually in that range. That's usually a really steep fee that a lot of people want to avoid. So they simply say, oh, my dog's an ESA, they can travel with me on the plane, and they end up causing a lot of issues in planes. Okay. So that has recently been changed. They now have to be in carriers, and they are considered pets for quite a few flights out there. So Where are they currently allowed? Well, the HOA allows them to be in a non-pet friendly home, right? A non-pet friendly community. They can be there for emotional support, right? Pretty much planes, trains, and automobiles and housing is where an ESA can be allowed, okay? So, you know, like with Uber drives or something, they can absolutely be there. All right. And then therapy dogs. You know, therapy dogs, a lot of people, when they come to me, they'll be interchanging the word service dog and therapy animal quite a bit. And when I hear that, I say, okay, I know that they need a little bit more education into the differences between a service dog and a therapy dog. And therapy dogs do not perform tasks. They are not geared towards one person. They are actually geared for many people as emotional support, and they go through training in order to get there. Okay, and they provide natural emotional support for a community, like after natural disasters, or you can go into hospitals and provide emotional support for patients there who are going through a hard time. And training is usually done through a therapy dog group. Okay, they do not perform tasks, and they are also not allowed in places where dogs are not normally allowed. Okay, so that's kind of the quick overview of the 3 types of assistance dogs here in the US. And the thing that you have to keep in mind with service dogs is even if they are allowed in public, they have to perform to a behavior standard, because a business owner is allowed to kick you out if the dog disrupts the public through going to the bathroom in a store, barking, any misbehavior, and no real service dog really should be doing that in the first place. You know, every once in a while, you know, a dog, you might slip up in their training. Maybe they will go to the bathroom in public. Maybe, you know, they're working through something with their dog where they had a little bit of a bad day, right? And everybody does have an off day. But if that's the case, you should be able to manage that situation, not make it worse. And if you need to remove your own dog, you need to be removing your dog by being responsible. You shouldn't have to have somebody coming up to you saying, listen, you got to leave. Your dog is so ill behaved. Okay? And there's also a lot of different kinds of service dogs out there. So we're going to go over them a little bit here. This is in the PDF, which I linked down below in the Google Drive. First one I want to talk about is mobility assistance dogs. So mobility assistance dogs, for example, can be people who have spinal cord injuries, brain injuries, muscular dystrophy, arthritis, you know, and that's just, you know, the beginning. Anything that is hard for them to get to move around, to do, that is a mobility assistance dog, right? You can train these dogs to open and close doors, retrieve items, pay at the cash register, help you sit up, down, prevent falling, find your keys, keep you steady, those kinds of things. All right. And the task lists, I'll be going over the task list a little bit later once we go over the different kinds of service dogs. But, you know, there's really no limit to what you can train your dog to do as long as it's safe. And you'll find that a lot of people, depending on what disability you're dealing with, require something different in how to train these behaviors. So if you're a very creative trainer, if you're somebody who likes to problem solve and troubleshoot and come up with new training plans, you know, task training is definitely for you. If you're somebody who is a little bit more reserved, a little bit more nervous about creating your own training plans and trying things out and communicating that to your clients, that it might not be the best suit for you. Some people, you might want to stick with just a specific disability you're comfortable with and repeating some of the trainings that you might have learned before. Okay. And alert dogs. So alert dogs come in all sorts of forms. Technically, hearing dogs are pretty much alert dogs. but it's just a very specific kind of alerting. You can have them alerting to impending panic attacks, blood sugar alerts. You can even, there's even little doggy phones with a button on it that you can pre-program to call a specific person or dial 911. Or if you start to disassociate or in a new environment, or if you're super overwhelmed, you can teach your dog to go find that exit to take you out so that you're not in that overwhelming, stressed environment. And of course, hearing dogs, there's so many things that you could teach dogs to alert you to, like the doorbell, your phone ringing, somebody calling your name, or really just any other noise that will help support you and keep you safe in your everyday life. Seizure response dogs, they can find someone to help you in case of a seizure. They can help wake you up from a seizure. They can physically move you if you are having your seizure in an unsafe place. And they can even roll you onto your side during that episode. And there are also seizure alert dogs. There has been a new study out there. It's upstairs. It's like I've gotten halfway through it, but there is some promising evidence that could possibly be a scent or several scents linked to before a seizure occurs in an individual person. So there is some promising evidence out there. Currently, I would like to see more studies done around this to make sure that's a repeatable study. But so far from what I can see, it's looking pretty promising about you being able to specifically train seizure alert dogs to alert to an oncoming seizure rather than just responding to a seizure. Autism support dogs. These dogs can be a huge boost in confidence for kids who have autism. And a lot of kids struggle with social interaction, and it can help connect them with classmates by acting as an icebreaker. And they can start talking about their dogs more, practicing their speech if they're having trouble with speech. They can also help keep a kid from running away. Now that can be a more controversial task for some dogs. A lot of kids who have autism tend to bolt and they run. But if we're opposed to, tethering for kids running away, we can also track the children through scent work if they do accidentally happen to run off. And of course, there should always be a way to keep your child with you, even if you have to tether the child to the adult. Okay, there should always be some sort of safety in there as well for prevention. Because as positive reinforcement trainers, we all know prevention, right? The best way to stop a behavior and to replace is to first prevent and then replace with another behavior. Allergy detection dogs. A lot of people have sensitivities to gluten, to peanuts, to other things that may not be sourced in the grocery store. And you can teach the dog to detect many different types of allergies, and they can help protect you from consuming something that might contain those allergens. And of course, psychiatric service dogs. These dogs can assist people who are suffering from depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and you can train them to sense a change in your body when you're about to have a panic attack or a flashback or an anxiety attack. They can do deep pressure therapy, which is also really helpful for people who tend to have autism in many, many cases. And you can teach them to interrupt different behaviors such as self-harming behaviors as well. All right, do we have any questions up until here? Don't think so. Guys, let me know where you're coming from. I see that you're here live with me. I would love to know more about you. Would love to know where you're coming from. If you're in the UK or if you're somewhere in the US or Canada, let me know. I would love, love, love to know. And of course, a kind of an introduction to tasks. Like general service dog tasks. You can even teach your dog to carry mail from the mailbox to your home. You can teach them to go recycle items for you, getting you something from the fridge, turning lights on and off, opening and closing doors, putting items onto a countertop. And I mean, like the amount of things that you can train a dog to do coming from the zoological world into the dog training world, like the utility of a dog is just, I mean, mind-boggling to me, to see everything that they can do and, you know, help you live your life. So some example of like medical or alert service dog tasks. You can actually teach your dog to bring a phone to you, right? Unload groceries from the grocery bags. They can help pull wheelchairs. There's always controversy around mobility tasks, so always look into that and make sure you do the best that's for you and your dog. There's momentum assistance. There are momentum tasks with a dog. You can actually teach your dog to pull at a good pace and walk with you, to pull forward, as a lot of people do have balance issues as well. They can help you in the grocery store, getting things on and off a shelf, putting in the grocery cart. They can open and close curtains. They can pull on and off socks or pants or other items that you are trying to wear. And it can really, really help change and improve people's lives in that aspect. Okay, so do we have any questions or any specific, I have a whole list of tasks in front of me. Do you guys have any questions about specific tasks or specific ways I might address certain, oh, here we go. Here's a question by Linda. What is your favorite task to train? My favorite task to train is probably the one that I haven't done before. That's probably my favorite task to train. I really like to troubleshoot. I really like to help a person in a way that they didn't think was possible. Or maybe they had a specific task in mind that they've wanted to train, but have said, well, I can't train that because of XYZ. And I'll say, well, have you tried XYZ to get to that result? And they'll say, no, I haven't tried that, in order to get to that result. And to see the person change and to start, you know, being more upbeat or more enthusiastic, or just to see that spark in their eye, to be like, oh, I can do that, right? We can do this. Because for a lot of people, you know, if it's something that they've recently got diagnosed with, or they're feeling a bit more down about, you know, providing that spark for them is really, I mean, it's great. There's no feeling like that in the world. All right. We have a question here. I'm not going to try to say your name because I'm going to butcher it. She says, your last name is Owens. Hello, Owens. Hi, Caitlin. What do you do with people who get dogs with the intention of working with their dog for their child, but their child is aggressive and lashing out? Grabbing the dog, no one wants to be offensive. Hold up. No one wants to be offensive, but I feel we have to support owners and also protect the dog 110%. So before I take on a client like that, I evaluate the situation, and if it's not a good situation to be in, I won't take the client. Right? If it's not a good situation, I won't take the client. You know, I might say, I'm sorry, I won't take you. I can refer you to somebody else, and I might give them the reason why. But I will explain to them, you know, I need to make sure that everyone's enjoying the training. And clearly your dog is not going to be enjoying this training, and I don't think it's a good fit. And sometimes we have to just tell them and say, this is, I can't take you. That's not what I'm going to be doing. And I do that with my aggressive dog clients too. If I know, that there's an aggressive dog in the home, and the parents are overwhelmed with work, and the kids being home from coronavirus and all this other stuff, I'm like, I can't take you. And if the dog's showing aggression towards children, I'm like, I'm not going to take you. Like, maybe you can find somebody else, but like, I'm going to tell them, these are the concerns that I see. This is potentially what could happen in the future. And if it's not treated seriously, this is what could be happening. And, I'm just going to be honest about it. I'm not going to pass any judgment on them, but I can tell them what I've seen happen to other people and say, this is what can happen. And I can tell them and encourage them, saying, give them that power to decide, hey, if you want to continue this, here's other trainers who might be willing to work with you, but these are the different options that you can go with from here. Right? So I don't tell them what to do or not to do. I empower the person with options, with how they can proceed. But I will say, I won't take you on as a client. Yeah. So, I try not to tell people what to do, but I give them the options on what it is. So it's important to both empower our dogs and even our potential clients. That's really my thought on that. Okay. So, that's all I have for you guys today. That was actually a pretty quick session. I'm very surprised. But you can download the PDF for today's workbook down in the comments below. I'm wondering if I can pin that. Hold up. There we go. So I just pinned that. That should be now up at the top of the chat. And I also put in the link for the Q&A for what the ADA does for service dogs. So if you are looking for more information about if people are coming to you for service dog training and you want to learn more about how to handle those situations, and maybe want to do a little bit more education on yourself to make sure you get accurate information rather than just saying, oh, go register your dog online, because we all know that's a scam, make sure to go check out that link by the ADA down in the comments below. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining today. I'm trying to decide, I'm going to be going live later this week. I'm trying to decide if I should do a training session video review first. I think I will. The next thing I want to do is settle, an automatic settle. And I'll be going live the next time for auto settle, with how to start teaching your dog to be calm in many different situations. So thank you guys so much for joining. Linda says, great information. Thank you. I'll be sending you more questions. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Linda. And I will be seeing you guys during the next live. Let me check the calendar here. Hold up, just to make sure that you guys can see me next. It's going to be Wednesday at noon. I'll be going live noon for a variety of days. So you'll see me next Wednesday at noon. We'll be going over the settle information, and I look forward to having to see you guys there. All right, thank you so much. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Oh, my mouse is so sticky. Here we go. Almost. There we go. Bye, guys.